everybody. Welcome to Pensador RGV. Thanks for showing up. Pensador RGV is the premier podcast in the Valley for getting you up to date and getting you in the know on current political events. We come at you from a contrarian perspective, and we try to give you the other side that is never talked about in local politics. RGV is a very liberal, progressive Democrat stronghold, and our aim is to try to change that. Not to make you Republicans, but to try to give you, like I said earlier, the other side. Anyway, we did not have a podcast last week, and for those of you who listen in constantly and are waiting for the show, we want to apologize, but I have a very good reason why. Because of your contributions, because of what you've been able to help us with, because of your constant engagement with our podcast and with our content on Facebook, on Twitter, on the podcast platforms such as iTunes and Spotify, we have been able to grow the show. We now have a producer. We've been trying to get him worked in, and a graphics illustrator. So before it was just me, and I would create the content. I've been doing the graphics. I've been doing the audio work, and so now the show is starting to grow. So thanks, guys. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it. I really do, because I firmly believe in this mission and in the podcast and in what we're trying to do. So thanks. There was a bit of a splash happening in politics this week. And I think it was a few podcasts ago, I vowed I will not talk about AOC. I am not going to talk about AOC, and here I am making another podcast about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She was in a bit of hot water this week because she referred to ICE detention facilities and our border detention facilities as concentration camps. Now, I understand why she does it. She does it for effect. Because if not, she'd call them internment camps, right? But that'd be too much of an attachment to FDR, her hero. So instead, she uses concentration camps because it paints a picture in the public's mind of the Nazis and of Adolf Hitler. And as we all know, Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler. Don't you know this? Haven't you heard? Donald Trump is Hitler. So of course she's going to the tried and true references of Adolf Hitler. To me, it's boring. It's boring, guys, to have to just listen to these people with their constant pissing and moaning about Adolf Hitler and how we're repeating history. Shut up. You don't know anything about history. Because if you're to compare context of what happened in Germany, and if you're to compare that to the context in which our detention centers and our detention facilities exist on the border, if you're to compare the situations, and if you're to come away with that still saying that we're running concentration camps, then I got nothing to say to you. Because you're dishonest. And you're poisoning the public discourse. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about political masochism. What's a political masochist? A political masochist is somebody who finds deep satisfaction and pleasure and gratification in seeing the country that they vowed to protect burn down. Now, do I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez fits this definition? I don't know. I would, in my opinion, I would say yes. So before we dive deeper into it, I want to read an article that was written by Slate just to kind of give you a brief introduction on what's going on. This article is titled "The AOC Liz Cheney Concentration Camp Fight Might Just Be a Distraction." And let's talk about that. And the article goes on to say, or starts off, should we call concentration camps if they exist inside of America? This is the debate currently raging across the internet, which in its purest incarnation pits Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez against Representative Liz Cheney. The original exchange, in which Ocasio-Cortez cited a prominent Holocaust scholar and Cheney accused her of not knowing the basic details of the Holocaust, went like this. AOC Twitter. This administration has established concentration camps on the southern border of the United States for immigrants, where they are being brutalized with dehumanizing conditions and dying. This is not hyperbole. It is the conclusion of expert analysis. And then she cites somebody from Esquire.com, because, of course, all your Holocaust experts are found at Esquire. And Liz Cheney responds, please, AOC, do us all a favor and spend just a few minutes learning some actual history. 6 million Jews were exterminated in the Holocaust. You demean their memory and disgrace yourself with comments like this. So, hell essentially broke loose from there. Dictionaries were referenced, with Merriam-Webster helpfully offering that a concentration camp is, quote, a place where large numbers of people, such as prisoners of war, political prisoners, refugees, or the members of an ethnic or religious minority, are detained or confined under armed guard, used especially in reference to camps created by the Nazis in World War II for the internment and persecution of Jews and other prisoners, end quote. The Auschwitz Museum weighed in, Yad Vashem weighed in, the Wiesenthal Center weighed in, and once again, a fight about whether families should be held in overcrowded freezing cages without access to sanitation or adequate health care was reduced to an argument via Twitter over word choice. Alright, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, here is the rundown. As I spoke earlier, a political masochist is a person who derives pleasure from watching their own country burn. Does AOC fit this description? You tell me. But first, while it's extremely easy to dismiss AOC as a moron, hello, whatever, it behooves us to take her seriously because she has a legion of social media morons who follow her every word. Look, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's hard. It's difficult not to call an idiot an idiot. She speaks like somebody who really has no skin in the game. Filled with college classroom theories and Marxist anti-capitalist, anti-colonial propaganda, she has no real-world intellect. She's a misguided social media monster narcissist. And just as an aside, do you ever wonder why, despite the massive body count communism has under itself, there are still communist professors and Marxist professors who walk around in our esteemed places of higher learning? That's because a college classroom is the only place where you can make a bad, square-pegged idea fit into a round hole. It's the only place where people who have no skin in the game think they can tell you what's best in the real world. Believe me, if college was the real world, Marxists and communists would hang their heads in shame or be run out just like the fascists. And this is the AOC world. This is what Congress looks like when you have people who have failed to assimilate into the American idea. She has personal grievances and personal vendettas against our government, against capitalism, and those personal grievances of hers are starting to cost you. This is the real world, Alexandria. Your personal grievances against Amazon cost your own people jobs and a better standard of living. But what the hell do you care? Your tenured Marxist professor, who also has no skin in the game, said it was the best way to show the evil capitalist who's boss. Plus, locked inside your luxury apartment in Washington, sipping on your wine with your $180,000 salary, it doesn't affect you. Plus, you can then turn around and high-five all the other socialist morons who get aroused every time capitalism gets his comeuppance. Your crusade against ICE and the Border Patrol, and your vow to not fund these agencies with another dime, as you say, has cost my people, who live here by the Texas border millions of dollars. It's exposed my people to diseases that were eradicated decades ago. And it's shamed the great local men and women who are trying to do the right thing and protect our country and our people. But it feels good to watch your racist, patriarchal country burn, doesn't it? You feel so moral and good to watch your own people suffer, just so you can turn around and point the finger at the other team, the Republicans, and say, see, I told you they were racist, they're Nazis running concentration camps, vote for me. So, for somebody who is so vocal and so loud in your virtue signaling, what are your solutions? Democrat mayors all across our border towns are begging Washington for action. Even the New York Times recently published an article imploring Democrats to cut the crap and give Trump his money to fund border security. So what's the holdup? She last tweeted this: my heroes are the ones who stood up when it wasn't easy. Kids are dying in cages on our border. Families are being put in freezers and dog pounds. Years from now, people will look for the journalists, officials, and everyday people who stood up for what was right in real time. Well, Alexandria, maybe if you got off your ass, get off Twitter, and stop telling everybody about how much you care, walked your ass down to your chamber and wrote some legislation like you're paid to do, listen to the people who actually have skin in the game, maybe we could actually get something done. But people like AOC won't. Believe me. Because she is a political masochist. If spiting Donald Trump and the Republicans means watching the country burn, then shit, she'll roast marshmallows on the flames. Fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, whether you like him or hate him, has been right on the main point. We are in the midst of a border crisis. Hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants have poured into our country and are overwhelming our border facilities, and there is something unbelievably evil and sick and disingenuous about not giving our border facilities the resources they have asked for to be able to efficiently run, and then turning around and bashing them for the kinds of conditions they produce as a direct result of your non-action. AOC is a product of a progressive college culture that fetishizes the tearing down of our country, and we are seeing that in real time. If you're like us and enjoy the conversation and would like to sponsor the show, just head on over to patreon.com/Hell's Tavern. That's patreon.com/HELLSTAVERN. And for the price of a beer, you can sponsor the show to help us grow, so we can keep putting out new content and powering the machine of change. For those of you who are about to support the show, I just want to say thank you. We can't do this without you.